I have here the Yale 500 Plus. This is the new version. I had a double of a time figuring out what was going on inside of this when I had bought this thinking I could use it for blue because I was thinking it was the Yale 500 because we weren't aware that the Plus was any different at that time. Turns out that it is different. It has 3 spools in 1, 3, and 5, and 2 standards in 2 and 4. Whereas the regular Yale 500, the original, has a standard in 1 and then spools in 2, 3, 4, and 5. The original 500 also has overmilling, whereas this one has a flat top. It still interacts with the spools, but it behaves a bit differently. So I thought I'd go ahead and show what the behavior is like right now. I was a green belt at the time I attempted this. So when I ran into issues where the pins seemed like they were binding but wouldn't move, I really didn't know what was going on. Since I had a double Euro, I cut it in half. Well, I already had cut it in half, but I decided to turn half of it into a cutaway. I actually don't recommend doing this yourself because with the skeletonized core, if you turn the plug too far, the driver pins will fall down into the core because in order to do the cutaway, you've taken the ribs out. So I had to 3D print a insert. I've taken that back out again because it's easier to see the pins. I'm going to use short hook 25 thousandths. This is from the TOOOL Necessary 9 kit, but it's the same short hook that's in the Genesis set by Covert Instruments. Normally I would use a 40 thousandths top of keyway for this, but that'll end up blocking the view, so I'm going to use a 40 thousandths ergo turner. I really don't use these much these days, so it's not picking padlocks anymore, but it's good for this, for getting my finger out of the way. So this might be a bit awkward, but so normally I like to pull through and find the ones that bind. So 2 and 4 right now are binding. 2 moves a little bit. 4 is the harder binder, so I'm going to start with that. And once I get all the key pins where they're lifting off the floor, instead of picking off the floor, I then move to this shelf on the right, this bit of warding right there by my thumbnail. So I'll have the pick up on top of this. It's not that much difference in height, but it does make a difference, especially with a short hook. So instead of off like this, I'll be up here like that. And it gives me a little bit extra reach. So even with the short hook, I can get a higher lift like on 4. All right, so that's a pretty deep fault set. So we know that the standards are picked and we're now working on spools. So it'll be the key pins, and 3 seems to be binding pretty hard. I'm getting counter rotation, and it gets to here, and it stops. That is similar behavior to milling, and you have to push a little bit harder, pop it out of the milling. In this case, it's the flat top. And now, even deeper fault set. I have this slightly rotated so the key pins won't always fall all the way back down, just because gravity isn't working fully on them. So 5 feels pretty hard with a little bit of counter rotation. 1 feels weird. kind of mushy with counter rotation. I'm going to go with 5. So I'm getting counter rotation, and then oh, there we go. So go back. Three. I'm getting counter rotation and movement, but it feels a little mushy. And same with 1. So I'll get that. So now we have just the 1 spool left. It's a very deep fault set. I push it, get to about here. And what's happening is the lip of the spool right there, it's catching on the little bit of gap that the flat top of the core makes between the core itself and the Bible, the other side right here. The fact that I made this a cutaway and removed a bit of the core and Bible on this side might have a little bit impact on here, but this does pick very similar to the other one. So it may be slightly different dynamics, but it's close enough for the demonstration. So it gets to there, get on the ledge. And like I said, it gets to there. Right now, I've led off completely on the tensioner, and I'm pressing up on the pin. Nothing is happening. So I'll put tension again. That's lifting straight up on the pin. The key pin has a rounded tip on it, and you can put the tip of your pick on either side of it. There I'm on the center, and now see how I've gone underneath on the right side? Well, on the back side of the pin, it'd be the right side if you're looking at the keyway. But you can definitely see it here where the tip disappears up underneath the key pin. So what I do, rather than lift on the center like you normally would, once I get it, edge. So once I get it lifted up, I have the tip rotated underneath on the right side. You can't go too far or you'll slip off the ledge because you're rotating the base of the pick out and then there's nothing underneath it. So I basically kind of, I'm riding on right on the edge of the ledge. So as I lift up, I also twist the pick counterclockwise. I'm using that ledge of the wording not only to leverage upward, but I'm balancing on the edge of it as I'm twisting. It's a little hard to do right now because I can't actually see it, and this is a very awkward position for me to pick in. But I'm gonna get it up. I ended up dropping a couple of pins. Let's see. And now 3 is behaving like that. Let's see. There. Oh, I ended up jostling 3 enough just from the shaft of the pick. So I find that this lock actually can be easier than something like a 1100 or 410 up until that last pin, whichever it happens to be. And then when you get into that deep fault set, it's like, what the hell is going on? It won't move, even when you left tension. So I like to maintain pressure with the tension wrench and balance it with the pick. I suppose you could use a second tension wrench, like you would be picking gins in an asa. I haven't tried it yet. I find that just manipulating the key pin a bit with the pick works pretty well. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on the pick and twisting. It's less about counter rotating with it than it is getting leverage in a way that presses on the spool so it will pop out of the milling. You are doing some counter rotation by doing that, so you're assisting it. You're getting the counter rotation not only from pushing up on the spool, but you're getting a tiny bit more from the pick underneath the key pin. But the main reason I think, not positive the dynamics of it, but I think it's just helping to push the spool out of the milling, or out of the gap from the flat top. So thanks for watching. Hope something in here was useful for you, and I will catch you later.